Hi guys, Cranky Grandma here. I'm shooting from a little bit different location today. This is actually Mary's bedroom. What is above me here is the top of her loft bed. And get rid of that glare in my glasses again. And she has another bed underneath, and I'm sitting on the lower bed, and her loft bed's up there, and she's actually away on vacation visiting her sister in Seattle. So Moose and I are hanging out in her room, which is quiet right now. Life Unboxed, I'll link to her channel below. She tagged me in a Getting to Know Me tag video, and she's got a little bit different questions than some of the Getting to Know Me tags that are going around, so I'm going to give it a go. These are 27 questions. I found it really hard to do some of these. Now, I am a very ADD person, ADHD. They didn't have that invented when I was a kid, so I just got in trouble in school. Some of these are, what are your favorite such and such? And with me, I change my mind so quickly that what I answer one day, I might answer differently another day, but I will do my best in this video. First question's easy. What is your middle name? My middle name is Mary. What was your favorite subject in high school and least favorite? Well, my least favorite subject was algebra. I was terrible at math, and the reason I was terrible at math is because pretty much my mom always told me in our family we're bad at math. And I think she was trying to make me feel better when I got good grades in other subjects in elementary school. I got good grades in other subjects and I didn't get the best grades in math. But it got me thinking that, okay, I'm just not good at math. So when I got to high school, and I wasn't trying real hard to get good grades anyway because I was really cool. And to be really cool, you had to be like bad and get bad grades. But math was still the worst. I wasn't interested in it. I figured I was bad at it. So I got a 37 in algebra. I passed it, though, because I told my teacher that if I came home with an F, my dad would beat me. Now, that was a lie. My dad would not beat me for coming home with an F. But it worked on my teacher, and he gave me a D. And I passed algebra, and I ended up getting into college, where I found myself put in a calculus class, and I didn't even know algebra. I had a very good friend in college who told me, you can do math, you just think you're bad at it. Actually, you're fine. And he encouraged me. I got some tutoring, and I got an A in calculus and found out I'm really not that bad in math. But in high school, it was my least favorite subject. Gym was a close second. My favorite subject, that depended, but I would say overall it would be an English or literature class. I had two that I remember fondly. One was a mythology class that I absolutely loved. Sorry, my iPad's moving because Moose is moving on the bed here and he's bouncing the iPad. It was a mythology class. We studied the Epic of Gilgamesh. We studied epic and mythology, Greek myths, Roman myths. I loved it. I can still see the teacher in front of me and I don't remember her name. I do remember the name of the teacher from my other favorite class, Mrs. Orleman, and she taught creative writing. I still have some of the papers of things I wrote in my senior year in high school. I love that class. What is your favorite drink, non-alcoholic or alcoholic? Well, I don't drink any alcohol. My husband and I don't drink, so we don't have alcohol in the house. I don't have a problem if anybody else wants to. We just don't do it ourselves. So I don't have a favorite alcoholic drink. But my favorite non-alcoholic drink overall is usually tea. Especially on cold, rainy winter days, hot tea with lemon is awesome. And on really hot summer days, iced tea with lemon is awesome. I don't like tea that's too sweet, just a little bit sweet, and that is the best thing in the world. Do you have any pets? Yes, I do. We have had many pets over the years, and currently we have 2 European starlings, which are normally a wild bird. It's a long story on how we got those 2 starlings as pets. They cannot be released into the wild. I may tell that story in another video. But starlings are awesome. Bird, his actual name is Francis Damien, but we call him Bird. He is, what year is it? It's about to be 2018. He will be 12 this year. Charlie is the other one. She will be 13. They were both born in the spring. So this spring, he'll be 12, she'll be 13. And European starlings talk like parrots. So they are pretty awesome birds. I also have a dove. Mary, just before Christmas, came home with a pet rat. This is not the first pet rat we've had. We've had a lot of pet rats. They are the best pocket pets. Get over the Black Plague thing. That was a long time ago. They're really nice, friendly pets. But we haven't had one in a while, and Mary came home with one from the pet store just before she left to visit her sister in Seattle. So he's a new rat. His name is Yule. We have, of course, Moose, who you've met in other videos, and I currently have 4 cats. I had 3 cats, now we have 4 cats. That makes me officially a crazy cat lady. We have the important cat, who's an old cat, going to be 17 this year, Assumpta. We have a cat that belonged to my elder daughter, who now lives in New Zealand, and I have her cat. His name is Goblin. And then her husband had a cat before they were married. Her name is Nativity, and she lives here now, since he is also in New Zealand. And just a few months ago, one of the leaders in the 4-H club my kids were in asked if I would take one of the barn cats who I knew well. We'd actually arranged for him to be fixed when he was young. He's been in my house before. He's a very good cat. His name is Bandit. And he is currently, if you're meowing in the background, it's probably him. He's currently living in the house here. And we're looking for a home for him, but I think probably he's going to end up staying here. Have you ever been out of the country? Yes, my first time out of the country was when I was 17 years old. I went to England with my older sister who just graduated college. And we had a week in London. We also visited Stonehenge before there was a wall around it. There was a fence around it now, but we got to go up and touch the stones, and it was awesome. We visited Canterbury Cathedral, White Cliffs of Dover, and did a lot of touristy things, and it was fantastic. I loved it. And I didn't think I'd ever be able to go overseas again, but my daughter, who's now in New Zealand, got her master's degree in England. So I went over to England for her graduation from graduate school, and then she decided to get a doctorate, and she's now in New Zealand. She got married, moved to New Zealand, and had a baby. So I flew down to New Zealand to meet my granddaughter, and it was awesome. And also this past summer, I went to Canada, which is not far when you live. Well, I live in New Jersey, so it's not that far up to Canada. But I met some cousins I'd never met before, and that was pretty cool. So yes, I am a person that never thought I'd get to travel, and I've ended up traveling a lot. You never know where life will take you. Excuse me. Are you an extrovert or an introvert? I seem very extroverted on videos, I think, and people that know me casually, like people in the grocery store, think I'm very extroverted because I will talk to anyone. I will strike up a conversation with someone sitting next to me on the bus, on the plane, in a diner in the next booth. I will talk to anyone. But I do find that I need a lot of downtime. I need a lot of time to be alone by myself. That's when I recharge my batteries. I find it draining to be with other people. It means I don't like it. It's not that I don't like it. I do enjoy it. But I also really need my time by myself because it does drain me. And if I'm by myself, having some quiet time, I get my batteries recharged. So I guess the answer is a little bit of both. I was very introverted as a kid, but in college I kind of came out of my shell and really started hanging out with a lot of people. Are you PC or Mac? I am PC except for the iPad that I'm recording on. I'm still not completely good with this, but I keep trying to look in the camera on this, and I keep looking over to the monitor. So if you see me going back and forth, that's what that is. But overall, I'm a PC person. Do you speak any other language? Nein. Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch, which means I had 4 years of German in high school and college, and I remember pretty much none of it, and I probably butchered that sentence. I also had 1 year of Spanish, and I think I remember how to say, what is your name? It's como te llama? Or is it como se llama? I forget. I do remember su planta means your plant. So if I put them together, I can say, what is the name of your plant? I think. Is that como se llama su planta? I don't know. Somebody can correct me on that. So no, I really don't speak any other languages. Do you have any siblings? Yes. My mother was married before she was married to my father. Her husband died of cancer when she was 29. I guess he was about 32. I'm not sure. And she had 2 children with him who died shortly after birth, which is very sad. Their names were John, and the girl was Mary Elizabeth. And John only lived a few hours. Mary Elizabeth lived a couple of days. They were born in the 1940s. But I always knew growing up I had a half-brother and half-sister in heaven, and I always thought that was kind of cool. Then my mom, when she married my dad, they had my brother and my sister. My brother's still around. My sister passed away of cancer in the summer of 2016. So I have 1 sibling left living, and I have 3 that I know of in heaven. Most embarrassing moment, past or present, I am not going to share that because it's too embarrassing. I will say my most embarrassing moments usually have to do with me opening my mouth and blurting things out, and it comes out wrong. I can say something I don't mean in my head, or something that's supposed to be funny and it just comes out bad, but that has led to many of those cringe moments. You know, you remember back to them and you go, ooh. And believe me, the older you get, the more of those moments you get. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. I may sometime in the future in some other video, but probably not. Tea, coffee, or hot chocolate? Tea. I like coffee. I drink coffee every morning. I like a good mocha latte from Starbucks now and then. Hot chocolate's great if you're out in the snow and you were really cold in the snow. If it wasn't snow, you have to have hot tea. But I do like when it snows, if I shovel the walk, to come in and have hot chocolate. But that's kind of a treat. Hot tea is just good for anything. Favorite childhood memory. This was difficult for me. I have a lot of memories with mixed feelings as a kid. I had trouble separating out something that would be really favorite. But I think I'm going to pick one. We had family that lived in New York State, upstate in the country. We'd call it up in the country. And in the summer, we would go up there, and I loved walking in the woods by myself. I have several good memories of walking in the woods. My Aunt Anna had a farm. It did not have indoor plumbing except for a pump in the kitchen, and it was like one of those old pumps would go into a sink, and you had to heat the water to bathe, you had to heat the water to cook, and there was an outhouse. And that was all kind of cool. They also had creeks everywhere, woods with creeks, and I loved watching the water striders on the water and the light through the leaves, and I just loved walking in the woods by myself. I have several memories like that, and they're probably my favorite childhood memories. Least favorite childhood memory, I have a lot of those, and I don't really want to share them. Let me pick something that might not be least favorite childhood memory. I'm going to pick something that's kind of simple, but at the time I was mortified. And we had a food drive at school. I was about 7 years old, and I had jars of jam in a bag. And I brought them into school, but I made a big production with my mom about them being too heavy to carry because I didn't want to carry them. And 7-year-old girls are very dramatic. And I accidentally bashed them on the sidewalk. I didn't mean to bash them, but I was saying they're heavy, like to drag them. They hit the sidewalk. I heard them break, and I looked, and they were broken. And I went up to our principal, who was collecting the food, Sister Mary Dennis, and I'm looking. I was terrified. Now, she was trying not to laugh. In retrospect, I remember her face. I went to Catholic school. I never saw any of those things you hear about in stories with rulers or anything. I actually have very good memories of being in Catholic elementary school. But she said, "What is it?" And I said, "The jars broke." And I was, for probably 3 years, always thought that was the most horrible thing that ever happened to me. I remember saying, "God, if you just let me go back in time this once, I'll never ask for anything again." I remember at 7 years old saying that. It seems very stupid now, but when I was 7, it was horrible. Tell one of your bad habits. Ooh, I have a lot of bad habits. Talking over people. Really running off at the mouth, I'd say, is a bad habit. Especially if I'm nervous, I run off even more than I do on videos. I also had a habit that I haven't had an issue with in about 3 years, but it was a bad habit for a long time, and that was I was a hair puller. That's a really common one. It's probably almost as common as biting your nails, but people are afraid to say they do it. But yeah, I did that for a long time. How old were you when you started getting interested in fashion or makeup? I was 50. I kid you not. I was very much, I'm born in 1960. So, a girl growing up in the 60s who likes to play with cars and trucks, who likes to climb trees and walk in the woods, who wants to be the captain of the starship, not the person that says, "Help me, Captain, I'm scared." I hated all the girly stuff. I spent a number of years really wanting to be a boy because the stereotype, like I saw on TV of girls and what girls did and what they were like, hated it. I hate it. It's funny because my mom was a working mom back before women commonly worked. But I just was really influenced, I think, by what I saw on TV in the 60s and some things you hear around you. I did not want to be a girl. I was not a girly girl. So I wasn't interested in clothes. I was really oblivious to clothes. As long as I was dressed, I'd have a t-shirt and jeans or a flannel shirt and jeans, depending on the weather, and a jeans jacket, a denim jacket. And that was pretty much what I wore all through the 70s, and through a lot of the 80s also. That's pretty much what I wore. When I started to hit 50, you say you're never going to be vain, and then all of a sudden you start getting gels, and you start going, well, you know what, maybe. I started watching makeup videos on YouTube and said, I can probably make my face look a little better. And I kind of got into it through the YouTube videos, and then I found the unboxing videos with clothes, and I started looking into that, and I have a lot of fun with it. To me, it's just kind of a fun hobby, a fun thing to do, but it took me a long time to get there. And I don't think it matters one way or another, but mostly as a kid, I think I had to learn that if I was a girl and I was using something, it was a girl thing. It didn't matter if it was a toy truck. It didn't matter if I wanted to climb a tree or shear a sheep or whatever I wanted to do. I had to really find out I was free from the stereotypes, and I was comfortable with myself once I did that. So I just kept dressing in the jeans and t-shirts, and it wasn't really, as I said, until I was older that I sort of made it a hobby and said, hey, this is kind of cool too. And that's kind of where I am right now. And who knows, it may change tomorrow. Let's see. How old were you when you got your driver's license? I was 16, which was the normal age where I lived to get a driver's license. Morning person or night owl? I love the morning. I love seeing the sunrise. I love morning light on trees. But I'm a night person. I wake up when the sun goes down. I'm a vampire. As much as I enjoy that morning light, a vampire wouldn't enjoy the morning light, but I do enjoy it. I'm much more awake and focused at night. I will be really tired, like around 6 o'clock at night, think I could fall asleep, but if I stay awake like past 9:30, I'm wide awake. That's when I want to load the dishwasher. That's when I want to do chores. I just would be awake usually till about 2:30 in the morning is my natural state and my most productive time. Biggest pet peeve. Oh, I have lots of them. They change with my moods. I'm very impatient. Generally, if I want something to get done and it's not getting done, that would be my pet peeve. It's also probably one of my bad habits. I know one. I know another one. I hate the feeling or sound of cloth on teeth. That sounds strange. When do you have cloth on teeth? Well, go to the dentist. They put gauze in your mouth. It's like nails going down a chalkboard. Some of you may be too young to remember nails going down a chalkboard. Trust me, you don't want to hear it. Or when Moose is playing with a cloth toy, like playing tug of war. I can't stand the sound. So that might be my biggest pet peeve. Do you have any hobbies? Right now, I'd say YouTube and the clothing and makeup is kind of a hobby. It's something I look at as just kind of fun. Until very recently, my kids were very involved in 4-H. We work with sheep, pigs, and cattle. In fact, one of our cows made the news worldwide a few weeks ago when she got out of a live nativity in the city and was wandering around. The police had to lasso her on I-95. It was kind of cool. Not ours personally, but she was an animal that belonged to our 4-H club. We haven't been in it about a year and a half. Thomas aged out of the club, and he was my youngest in there. But for a while, I would say 4-H was a whole family hobby, and for a while, I was one of the 4-H leaders. So working with livestock was definitely a hobby for a long time, and I really, really loved it. We're almost done. Okay, 3 things on your bucket list. That bucket list changes every day, and I'll forget something that's on it and think of a new thing. But I'd say one of the things that's been on my bucket list since I was a kid was to go to New Zealand, and that got crossed off my list when I went down and visited my daughter there, and that was amazing. That's something I never thought I would do. Another thing that's been on my bucket list since I've been a kid, I read a book where a little kid was bottle feeding a calf. He lived on a ranch, and oh my gosh, I thought I would never get to work with farm animals, never get to bottle feed a calf. Well, I've bottle fed sheep many times. I've had sheep in my house that were being bottle fed. Probably bottle fed a calf, too. Worked with livestock in 4-H for heavy duty for about 6 years and a little less heavy duty for 20 years. So that got crossed off my bucket list. Right now, there's places I want to go. Oh, I want to learn to play the piano. I'd like to learn to sew. That's on my bucket list. And I want to go to Ireland and to Cornwall because these are places of my ancestry. And I'd really love to go to Italy. So those are some more things that are on my bucket list. If you could sit with one person and talk for 1 hour, who would it be and why? When I first saw this question, I thought immediately of some of the founding fathers. Benjamin Franklin, especially Thomas Jefferson and John Adams in the same room, hopefully, because they were such incredible frenemies, and I find it interesting. So that was my first thought. And then after I watched Life Unboxed answer to this, I said, my answer might be similar, which is some people from the Bible. Moses would be a big one, and so would St. Peter. And they are very much the same kind of personalities. Moses, I've never liked movies with Moses in them because I feel like they always get him wrong relative to how he actually was in the Bible. And he's pretty well detailed in there, flaws and all. I may be the one person in the world that does not like at all the Charlton Heston 10 Commandments movie. I don't like it. Moses found God and then got really boring. And to me, it's the opposite's true. But the best actor that ever played Moses was Ben Kingsley. Turner Network Television had this string of Bible movies in the 1980s that were really well done, because most religious movies are horrible. They were really, really well done. And the Moses movie wasn't the best movie in there. In fact, it may have been one of the weakest, but the acting was fantastic. And Ben Kingsley played Moses exactly right, which is someone who is impulsive and would act impulsively in anger and then be terrified. Like he was scared to follow through with things. And I just thought that was amazing. He was such a flawed person that still ended up doing what he needed to do, despite being terrified and messing up quite a bit. And Peter, for the same reason. Peter was a very similar personality. Peter definitely had a mouth on him, too. He'd blurt things out and then think twice about it later. And boy, can I relate to Peter. People like that just give me hope because God calls them anyway. So both those people, I think, Peter more than either one, I think I would like to sit down and talk to. I wouldn't say Jesus because I sit and talk to him all the time. No, I don't hear voices back, but we have conversations. And if you're a praying person, you know what I mean. What makes you laugh or cry? I would say what makes me laugh is anything ridiculous, and I will find something ridiculous in just about anything in life. It's like sometimes if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And anything that's absurd will make me laugh. Even in some of the worst times in my life, if I see something absurd in it, I will just start to laugh. My whole family's like that. Cry, I will cry at anything. I cry at Hallmark cards. I cry at, sometimes I'll cry at a commercial. Oh my gosh, that dad, he's taking his little boy to breakfast at McDonald's. That's so beautiful. And I'll cry. I see little kids playing, I cry. If you cry, I will cry. I can guarantee you. I'm just that kind of a person. If you could be on one reality TV series, what would it be? I don't really watch reality TV, so I'm not sure what's out there. I know I wouldn't be on any of those singing talent shows, and I don't really follow it, so I don't think I can answer that. Mary watches some of these things with what are they called, American Ninja or something, where the obstacle course ones, where these people, it's very athletic, but they go through all these different kinds of obstacle courses, like rafts floating in the water, and they have to climb a net and that sort of thing. It's like agility training for humans. I could never do that, but that might be the only kind of reality show I watch, if that even counts as a reality show. So I can't answer that. What is your favorite exotic food? I'm not sure what qualifies as an exotic food. When I was in New Zealand, my daughter introduced me to Indian food, and I ate what I think was called chicken vindaloo, and I thought it was probably one of the best things I ever ate in my life. So if that can be considered exotic, for me it would be. I would go with that. If you could be your younger self, one piece of advice would you give yourself? It would be go for it. Slide down the fireman pole. When I was about 4 years old, I remember some friends had a swing set, and I climbed up the ladder, and to get down, you had to go down the fireman pole. And I was afraid. And I knew if someone pushed me and made me do it, I'd go down once, and once I was down, I'd want to do it over and over and over. It was just that first step that got me scared, and I wouldn't do it. So I climbed back down the stairs, and I didn't go down the fireman pole. So my advice would be, go down the pole. Do what you're afraid of, not insane things. Well, sometimes insane things, if it's not illegal or immoral. Maybe sometimes even if it's illegal. I don't know. Go for it. Just go for it. It's okay to make a mistake and, live the adventure. Have you ever done a prank call? Yes, indeed. In fact, when Life Unboxed was talking about this, I did the same kind of prank calls. I'm also from the era before there was caller ID. Phones had dials. There were no answering machines. And you would call and say to someone, I'm from the electric company. Is your refrigerator running? And if they said yes, you said, well, go catch it. All these really dumb things. I did a lot of those. My friend, between about the ages of 10 and 13, we did a lot of those prank calls. What is your favorite thing to do on a cold, rainy, or snowy day? It depends. I don't like the cold. I understand now why old people move to Florida, because I'm becoming an old person and I want to move to Florida now, or Arizona, or Southern California, or someplace where it's warm. But I do like rain. I like standing out in the rain. Snowy days, I like going out and listening to the silence of the snow falling. I love that. And then after you've been chilled, to come in and have a nice hot cup of tea, that is awesome. So that would be probably what I would do. Listen and enjoy the nature, and then come in and have a nice hot cup of tea. And those are the questions. And I will copy and paste and put the questions. I keep looking over here to make sure I'm not running out of room on my iPad memory. Sorry for going back and forth all the time. Anyway, I will put a list of the questions below. I know a lot of people are getting tagged in these, and I'm trying to think of people who have not been tagged that I know of. I will tag Seaweede Starfish, because she doesn't do too many things like this. She does mostly unboxing. So Desiree, I'm going to tag you. I'd love to see what you do on cold, rainy, and snowy days. Other than cuss the weather, I'm sure you do that. And I can relate. And I think I will tag Jalaunda also in this. So I'll put your names down below. I hope you see this and follow up on it. And anyone else that's watching this, if you haven't been tagged yet, just consider yourself tagged and do the video. And I will see you next time. I should be getting a Stitch Fix next week, and I will do an unboxing for that. See you later.